Well, hello everybody and happy Sunday. How are you? My name is Scott Pinyard. I am the head coach here at This Naked Mind, and I go live just about every Sunday. The last couple of weeks have been an exception. Travel's been crazy. I'm on the road now, obviously. I'm in a hotel room. But I wanted to go live for you today and talk about something that's been on my mind, and that is this idea, this topic of reminders. I have a story about that. I'm going to get to that in a second. While I am talking, feel free to say hello. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me what's on your mind. I would absolutely love to answer any questions. I will try. I'm doing this on my iPad, and I admit, I'm not perfect at that yet. It's been a while since I've tried it. So I would absolutely love to hear what's on your mind. But first, hey Libby, how are you? But first, what I would like to do is invite you to join us for a completely free alcohol experiment, 100% free. This is a program that we put together where you take a 30-day break from alcohol and just see what happens, right? There's no predetermined outcome. It's not take a break for 30 days and then quit forever, or take a break for 30 days and then moderate. Hey Tracy, how are you? Good to see you. The alcohol experiment is 100% free, and it is all about looking around and saying, hey, what is going on with me? Is my life better without alcohol or worse? And you know what? If you go into this with no preconceptions, it can make such a huge difference. You can find out more about that at alcoholexperiment.com. That's alcoholexperiment.com. It's in the description of the video as well. Hey, Nikki in the UK, how's it going? So, reminders. This is a really funny, Jenny, how are you? This is a really interesting story, and I got to give you a little backstory to this, but so let me give you the history first, and then I'll talk about reminders. So almost 2 years ago now, wow, is that true? That is true. Almost 2 years ago, I went out to get coffee one morning, and it was raining, and I was in a hurry, and you don't need to know all the details, but I fell down a set of stairs, and the fall was bad enough that I really hurt my back, hurt it so bad I had to go to the hospital. And so an ambulance ride and a hospital stay later, I left the hospital with a very, very sore back. Since then, every time winter comes around, and I live in Portland, Maine. So, Sue says started doing the January dry. January still going strong. Awesome. That is awesome. So good. Glad to hear that, Sue. I live in Portland, Maine, and we get a lot of snow. So here's what's happened. Since my fall, every time it snows, whether I'm downtown walking over to my office or just walking to the end of the driveway or walking the kids to the bus stop, whatever it is, anytime it snows and it's a little bit slippery, I found myself getting so tense. And I would be so worried about falling. I'd be thinking about, oh my God, if I fall. Oh, Cheryl's in New Hampshire. That's awesome. I grew up in New Hampshire, Cheryl. I think about, man, if I fall, I'm gonna hurt my back so bad again, right? And I am just so focused on the ground and the ice, and I'm making sure, okay, I wanna make sure that, I don't, miss a piece of ice, or I don't step somewhere where I could accidentally fall and hurt myself. And it's terrible, guys. I've gone through, one full winter and about half of a winter now with this. Angela in the UK, welcome, Angela. And what happens is if I'm outside for long enough and I walk far enough, I squeeze my muscles and my back hurts like hell. And I was finding this every day walking from my car to my office, right? Walking on snow and ice-covered sidewalks, I would be in pain. I'd get to the office and I'd have to sit down, and I'm like, this sucks. My back does not hurt anymore from the fall, but it was the walking on the ice and being really tense that was a problem. All right, so that's the history, and that's the way it's been for a couple of years. I'm gonna fast forward to this week. So this week I was spending some time with Annie, and we had to regularly walk outside, and it was really snowy and it was really cold, and I was finding the same thing was happening to me, right? There was this path with these slate stones, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna fall, I'm gonna hurt myself, what am I gonna do? I have a plane ride home, I have a vacation coming up, all of this stuff, right? And so I would walk out the door and I would tense up and I'd walk on this path, and there was an uphill and a downhill, and I would be so I would try really hard, and I know that like if I fall and hurt myself, I'll feel better. Like I'll eventually get better. But ultimately, Leah from British Columbia, hello, and Rosalind in Wharfedale, that is not correct. I apologize. In Yorkshire, welcome. So I knew that like if I fell, I would eventually feel better, but I was just whatever. And even this short walk, and it takes like 3 minutes, right, to walk from the back door to the office, I would find myself in pain. And I was really frustrated by it. And I'm like, this is not how I want to live. And I didn't know what else to do. You know, I was being very careful. I was like looking at the ground, looking at where each foot was, I was setting down. But I get in and I ask Annie, I'm like, what the hell can I do about this? Like, this really sucks. But like, I don't know. You know, and we talked about it for a little bit and you know, she gave me some ideas to try. But then I walked back over the trail and it had been snowing and this branch had fallen down and it was like just low enough to hit the top of my head. And so I do that and I scrape the top of my head on this branch and I get a load of snow down my back. And I was like, whoa, like standing up straight all of a sudden, right? This happens for like 2 days straight. Every time I walk, I'm looking down at my feet, my head hits the branch, I get a freezing cold back, and I'm like, and I find myself moving out. Suddenly, one of these times, I was like, wait a minute. This is shifting my focus, right? This is because like, you get snow down your back, you're like, like that. And I found that I could take a few steps and I recognized something. I recognized that this tree branch that was hitting me in the head and dumping snow down my back was a reminder of something that I know. Actually, it's something you guys have heard me talk about. It was a reminder of the fact that what you put your focus on is what you experience. So, you know, all of these times that I'm walking over snow-covered sidewalks and, you know, I find myself in pain, and all of these times that I find myself, you know, walking back and forth, even just last week with Annie, every time I was doing that, my focus, what I was thinking about all the time was, oh my God, it's going to suck if I fall. Oh my God, I really don't want to get hurt again. Oh my God, this looks slippery. Oh, look at that. Like that stone looks, you know, just this constant dialogue. And what this dumb tree branch reminded me of was that I needed to look up. I needed to stop focusing on the thing that was causing me pain. And instead, I'll shift my focus. Because the reality is, like, I would sit there and I would think about pain. Guess what? I felt pain. I would sit there and I would think about falling. Guess what? I was really afraid of falling. I was causing this to myself. Meanwhile, you know, when I talked to Annie about it, I was saying, you know, how can I shift my thinking on this? I feel like, you know, my back hurts so much. Like, I'm like obsessed with this idea. And that brings me to what I wanted to talk about today, which is this idea of reminders, right? For me, my focus was in one place intently, and it was causing me problems. I was unhappy. I was in pain. And it took the reminder of this tree branch to go, wait a minute, dude, literally look up. Like, literally change your focus. What does any of this have to do with the alcohol journey? Well, here's what it is, right? What you focus on is what you get, right? What you pay attention to is what you feel. In a certain way, and I don't think this is an overstatement, right? What we focus on is our life. Here's what I mean, right? If you focus on the fact that you are in pain and need to change, or you focus on the fact that, man, every time I go alcohol-free, I fail, or every time I quit drinking, it sucks, or I'm miserable, right? When you approach one of these attempts, what's going to happen? You're going to be afraid. You're going to be focusing on this difficulty, and it's going to suck. One of the things we say actually in the alcohol experiment is you get what you expect, right? And so for me, taking it back to my little jaunt on the slate stones there, I expected to fall. I expected it to be slippery. I expected it to be horrible. But it took this reminder, this tree branch reminder, to say, wait a minute, what are you focusing on? So the same thing is true with any sort of change journey, right? When you spend your time very much focused on a specific negative aspect of this, you are not going to feel good. You're not going to. This is one of the reasons that we do so much visualization and we tell you to like think about your life alcohol free. What would it feel like if, right? We have these reminders along the way. I had this opportunity and, I did this and then for like a couple of minutes, I was like, man, this is really dumb. Why did I not know this? Like, honestly, if I was coaching someone, if I had been coaching me, I would have said like, dude, well, yeah, of course you're all tense and nervous because you're looking down and you're staring at the ice and you're thinking about falling. You're thinking about pain, right? What are you focusing on? But the reality is we all need these reminders, right? These reminders are the things that remind us to stay on track. These are the things that remind us to that we're trying to take this journey one step at a time. So no matter where you are on your journey with alcohol, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be good times. There's going to be bad times. There's going to be easy times. There's going to be hard times. But if you find yourself focused on the negative, use those emotions as a reminder that, hey, there's another option out there. Allow things like lives like this video or friends in your life or people you might know in this group to act as those reminders, to have compassion for yourself, right? To be kind to yourself or to remind you about where you want to go. The reality is, any sort of change journey is hard. Every single one of us needs reminders, right? We need these reminders. So I want you to take a few minutes and think about for yourself, what are your reminders, right? What are those things that just kind of jump out at you where you're like, you know what? Yeah, that's good. Because for me, the reminder of this idea of focus completely shifted everything. And I'll tell you what happened, right? So after hitting and by the way, I needed to be reminded multiple times and get uncomfortable multiple times. And you know what happened after that? Like after I did that, I found myself walking back and forth over this trail. And by the way, the snow was getting worse and worse. It was getting slipperier and slipperier. I found myself doing this without any pain. Without any pain. And I wasn't falling. And by the way, when I shifted my focus, when I literally, when I say shift my focus, I was staring down and instead I stared ahead, right? But I also looked at what I was focusing on mentally. That was what it took. And I'm very excited. I haven't had an opportunity yet to go home and try this walking across the sidewalks in Portland, but I have a suspicion it's going to be the same way. When my focus was on the falling, I felt like crap. As soon as I stopped that, everything went away. Not just my negative thoughts, but also the pain. So I want you to remember, and maybe this is a reminder for you. I want you to remember that reminders are part of the journey. Be open to them, right? Sometimes a data point is a reminder. Sometimes a negative experience is a reminder, right? Sometimes there's positive reminders too. Sometimes maybe you just opened your phone and saw me here talking about this. But be open to this and recognize this. Reminders are a gift. They help us move through this process effectively. They help us do this without beating ourselves up. And you can take these things and just keep moving, right? I'm not beating myself up for focusing on the negative for 2 years, right? Literally staring at my feet, trying not to fall. It's easy to do, but the reality of it is, I'm just happy. I'm just happy that I don't feel like I'm slipping around, that I'm not afraid of falling like I used to be. So I hope that was helpful for you. So look around when you're on your journey.